I know that in theory. And Chelsea is going to be spectacular at anything she attempts. I'll be proud too. But damn.
Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Deep Dive. I'm your host Amelia, and today we're breaking down what might be the most explosive episode of Beyond the Gates yet. Season 1, Episode 30, titled Reckoning. If you've been following our weekly recaps, you know we've been building to this moment all season. And wow, did they deliver? Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our analyses of this incredible show. And fair warning, this is a full recap with all the spoilers. So if you haven't watched episode 30 yet, bookmark this video and come back after you've experienced it for yourself. All right, let's get into it. Because after 29 episodes of secrets, lies, and power plays, the residents of Oakwood Estates are finally facing the consequences of their actions. Reckoning picks up immediately after last week's shocking revelation that Vernon Dupree's business rival Bill Hamilton has been working with federal investigators for months. The community is in chaos as news of potential indictments spreads like wildfire through Oakwood Estates. This episode masterfully brings together all the major storylines we've been following. Vernon's increasingly desperate attempts to hide his past misdeeds, Nicole and Ted's crumbling marriage, Danny's moral crisis as she considers testifying against her own father, and the explosive secret about what really happened to Marcus Hampton 20 years ago. What makes this episode particularly brilliant is how it forces every character to finally choose a side. The carefully maintained appearances that have defined life in Oakwood Estates are shattered as federal agents descend on the community, and no one can hide behind wealth or status anymore. Let's break down exactly how this pivotal episode unfolded. The episode opens with a stunning sequence as federal agents arrive at dawn, simultaneously raiding the Dupree, Richardson, and Thomas homes. The parallel editing between these three scenes creates a sense of inevitable collapse as the community's power players are caught completely off guard. Vernon's reaction is particularly telling. Rather than surprise, we see resignation, suggesting he's been anticipating this day. Anita, meanwhile, springs immediately into crisis management mode, making calls to their attorney while simultaneously destroying documents. A woman who's clearly prepared for this possibility. The most dramatic moment comes when agents enter Leslie Thomas's home office, revealing the full extent of her evidence collection. The camera pans across her elaborate system of files and recordings, documenting years of community secrets. Confirming what many viewers suspected, Leslie has been playing a much longer and more complex game than anyone realized. Ted Richardson's reaction to the raid creates one of the episode's most poignant moments. Rather than resistance, we see relief wash over his face. A man who's been living under crushing pressure finally seeing an end in sight, even if that end means disgrace. The emergency meeting at the Oakwood Estates clubhouse perfectly captures the community in crisis. Director Name brilliantly contrasts this chaotic gathering with the polished charity gala from the pilot episode. The same space now filled with fear instead of champagne and forced smiles. Several key moments stand out. 1. Bill Hamilton's conspicuous absence, confirming rumors of his cooperation with authorities. 2. Martin Richardson publicly breaking with his family's stance, announcing he'll cooperate fully with the investigation, a decision that visibly devastates his brother Ted, but earns a subtle nod of respect from Smitty. 3. Anita Dupree's masterful attempt to rally the community, appealing to their shared interests and history. Her speech walks a fascinating line between inspiration and manipulation. 4. The shocking moment when Chelsea Hamilton arrives and reveals that her father has been wearing a wire for months, potentially implicating everyone in the room. The scene ends with the community fracturing into clear factions, those aligning with the Duprees, those distancing themselves to save their own positions, and a small group led by Danny who advocate for transparency and accountability regardless of the consequences. Their private moment in Vernon's study reveals the true nature of their relationship. After 30 years of marriage, we finally see them without pretense. Vernon's admission that he's known about Anita's separate financial arrangements for years creates a fascinating power shift between them. The revelation that they've both been preparing for this day, each making arrangements without the other's knowledge, transforms our understanding of their marriage as one built on mutual respect, rather than just love or convenience. After a season of growing distance, Nicole finally confronts Ted about the offshore accounts she discovered in episode 24. Ted's confession that he's been funneling money away not to hide it from her, but to protect her from potential fallout from her father's actions creates a heartbreaking irony. Their lack of trust ultimately prevented them from protecting each other. The resolution of their long simmering tension comes in an unexpected form as Chelsea reveals she's been feeding information to her father, not out of revenge, but because she believes exposing the community's corruption is the only way to save it. Their conversation on the community dock, overlooking the water that has symbolized wealth and status throughout the season, brings their character arcs full circle from their tense interaction at the gala in the pilot. Perhaps the most surprising confrontation comes when Martin Richardson confronts Leslie Thomas about her role in gathering evidence. The revelation that they've both been working with authorities, unaware of each other's involvement, creates a fascinating new alliance between these previously disconnected characters. After 30 episodes of cryptic references, we finally learn the truth about Marcus Hampton and how his death connects to the founding of Oakwood Estates. The extended flashback sequence, set 20 years earlier, reveals that Marcus, Bill Hamilton's former business partner and Vernon's childhood friend, discovered that the land for Oakwood Estates was being purchased through questionable means. His threat to expose the scheme led to a confrontation between him, Vernon, Bill, and Anita. The tragedy wasn't a calculated murder, as some fan theories suggested, but a heated argument that turned physical when Marcus threatened to expose them, resulting in his accidental death. The most shocking revelation is that it was Bill Hamilton, not Vernon, who struck the fatal blow. Yet Vernon took the lead in covering it up to protect their shared dream of building Oakwood Estates. This revelation recontextualizes the entire season's power struggle between Vernon and Bill, revealing their feud as rooted not just in business rivalry, but in the unresolved guilt and resentment stemming from their shared crime. Bill's cooperation with authorities now reads as both self-preservation and delayed atonement. Eva Thomas's role in this revelation is particularly significant. As Marcus's former fiancée, her presence in Oakwood Estates takes on new meaning as we realize she's been quietly investigating his death for 2 decades, working alongside her sister Leslie to uncover the truth. The episode's emotional core centers on Danny Dupree's impossible choice between family loyalty and her moral principles. Her scene with Anita, where her mother finally drops all pretense and acknowledges the moral compromises that built their privileged life, stands as one of the series' most powerful moments. Anita doesn't beg for protection, but rather offers understanding if Danny chooses to testify, showing growth in her character beyond the one-dimensional power player we met in early episodes. The parallel editing between Danny's moral crisis and flashbacks to her childhood in Oakwood Estates creates a powerful contrast between the community's promise and its reality. Her ultimate decision to provide evidence while also using her legal expertise to negotiate terms that might spare her parents the worst consequences perfectly captures the complex moral landscape the show has built. The scene where Danny meets with federal prosecutors, accompanied not by her parents, but by Naomi Hamilton, Bill's younger daughter who has become her unlikely ally, represents a new generation choosing a different path than their parents, acknowledging wrongs while seeking a way forward that doesn't simply destroy everything their community has built. As news of impending arrests spreads, we see the community responding in various ways that reveal their true characters. 1. Ted Richardson, preparing to surrender himself while ensuring Nicole has access to funds he's protected from seizure, finally putting her needs before his pride. 2. Leslie Thomas, shredding certain documents before authorities return with specific warrants, suggesting she's still playing a game with more moves ahead. 3. Martin and Smitty making plans to leave Oakwood Estates entirely, choosing a less privileged but more honest life together. 4. Chelsea Hamilton standing with her father at a press conference where he publicly admits his role in covering up Marcus Hampton's death while implicitly implicating Vernon and others. 5. Eva Thomas finally visiting Marcus Hampton's grave, placing closure on her 20-year quest for truth. The most powerful image comes as residents begin removing personal items from homes that may soon be seized. The physical dismantling of their perfect facades reflecting the collapse of the community's illusions. The episode builds to the long-awaited direct confrontation between Vernon and Bill. Former friends turned bitter enemies, now forced to acknowledge their shared guilt. Their meeting on the golf course, the symbolic heart of privilege at Oakwood Estates, creates perfect visual storytelling as they stand on the manicured grass that literally covers the troubled foundation of their community. Vernon's question, was it worth it? And Bill's response, we built something remarkable, but at what cost? Encapsulates the show's central theme about the moral compromises behind American success stories. The revelation that Vernon has also been cooperating with authorities, having turned himself in quietly the previous night, creates the episode's biggest twist. These two men, seemingly locked in opposition all season, ultimately made the same choice, suggesting that perhaps they weren't as different as they appeared. The episode's final sequence shows federal agents returning with specific arrest warrants for Vernon, Ted, and several other community leaders. Rather than resistance, we see resignation and dignity as they surrender themselves voluntarily. The image of Anita watching from their doorway as Vernon is escorted to a waiting vehicle creates a powerful callback to the pilot, where she stood in the same spot, welcoming guests to their gala. Her composed exterior remains, but now we understand the tremendous strength it requires. The most poignant moment comes when Danny arrives just as her father is being taken away. Their wordless exchange, his nod of understanding, her tears finally breaking through her composure, communicates volumes about their complicated relationship. The episode ends with a striking aerial shot pulling away from Oakwood Estates, similar to the opening of the pilot, but now revealing empty streets and darkened homes, the community's future as uncertain as its troubled past. Throughout the season, we've seen how Oakwood Estates represents a particular vision of success, one built on exclusivity and often requiring moral compromise. The episode forces characters and viewers alike to question whether that price was ultimately worth paying. The generational divide becomes most clear in this episode, with the community founders facing consequences while their children attempt to chart a different path forward. The show asks profound questions about whether acknowledging past wrongs can lead to redemption. From the pilot's focus on maintaining perfect facades to this episode's complete collapse of those pretenses, the season has come full circle. The visual storytelling consistently reinforces how truth eventually overcomes even the most carefully constructed appearances. The episode brilliantly explores how community can both elevate and corrupt individual choices, as characters who once justified actions for the greater good of Oakwood Estates must now face their individual responsibilities. The acting deserves special recognition, particularly from actor playing Vernon, who conveys a complex mix of resignation, regret, and relief as his character finally stops running from the past. Similarly, delivers a breakthrough performance as her character completes her journey from idealistic outsider to the moral compass of the community. We'll see the beginning of trials and likely some plea agreements, particularly from Bill Hamilton, whose cooperation may earn him leniency. 2. Anita will emerge as the community's unlikely leader during the crisis, potentially revealing contingency plans she's had in place for years. 3. Nicole will face her own moral reckoning about how much she knew or suspected about her family's business practices. 4. The younger generation, led by Danny, Chelsea, and Naomi, will begin planning for a reformed version of Oakwood Estates, suggesting the community might survive in a more transparent form. 5. The Marcus Hampton Foundation will be established as a way to acknowledge past wrongs while creating something positive for the future. The groundwork has clearly been laid for a second season that could explore the community's attempt to rebuild itself on more honest foundations, with shifted power dynamics and new alliances formed through this crisis. Beyond the Gates has delivered one of the most compelling seasons of television in recent memory, and episode 30 perfectly demonstrates why this show has captivated audiences. By forcing its characters to finally face consequences for their actions, the show asks powerful questions about privilege, morality, and the possibility of redemption. What did you think of this explosive episode? Were you surprised by the truth about Marcus Hampton? And whose side are you on? Team Vernon or Team Bill? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button and subscribe for our finale recap next week and all your other favorite shows. Until then, I'm Amelia, reminding you that sometimes the most beautiful communities hide the ugliest secrets. Thanks for watching.